Last week, Ethiopian Prime Minister Office held a press briefing. Ethiopian Prime Minister Office spokesperson had said last week that a national dialogue could start in September. Since then, experts have been claiming that talks could start between Ethiopian government and Tigray People Liberation Front in September. Though, if you remember, I had said that there was no possibility of talks, and Blinesiom's statement did not mean that a new dialogue was going to start. It was not a new development. Today we got a confirmation from Ethiopian Prime Minister Office. Just a few minutes ago, Ethiopian Prime Minister Office held a press briefing. Blinesiom responded to several questions from journalists. One journalist asked about proposed national dialogue due to be held in September. And the journalist asked, will Oromo Liberation Army and TPLF be part of this dialogue or not? Blinesiom says only legal entities will be part of this national dialogue. According to Ethiopian constitution, Oromo Liberation Army and Tigray People Liberation Front are not legal political parties. They have been banned. Ethiopian parliament a few weeks ago banned these two groups. It means that both TPLF and Oromo Liberation Army will not be part of this national inclusive dialogue. Blinesiom further said that Ethiopian government was already in touch with more than 54 political parties. So this inclusive dialogue was already underway. It's not something new. Ethiopian political parties, Ethiopian government, they were in talks, not in public. There was no question that a new inclusive dialogue with the participation of TPLF and OLA will start in September. Very disappointing word. It means that there is no likelihood of talks between TPLF and Ethiopian government. One journalist asked a question about the presence of Eritrean forces in Tigray, that new deployments have been made by Eritrea in Tigray. She did not respond to this question. She said we should talk about the presence of Tigray fighters in Afar and Amhara regions. Then one journalist asked a question about the possibility of Amhara forces, Ethiopian National Defense Forces entering Tigray. Again, she did not respond to the question. She said it was up to Ethiopian National Defense Force, Minister of Defense, to make such a decision, and she would not speculate about that. Ethiopian government does not want to negotiate with TPLF now because Ethiopian government now sees itself in a stronger position. Because Tigray Defense Force could not break the siege. We have seen there that Tigray is still under a siege. Western Tigray under Amhara control, ENDF control, especially Eritrean control. Then TDF tried to move towards Ethiopia-Djibouti road. The offensive failed. Now TDF is trying to advance towards Birhale and towards Eritrea far border areas. But again, fighting going on there, but no reports that TDF is going to reach Eritrea, a far border area. So Tigray is under a siege. Tigray is dependent upon one road, Afar Mekele road, Samara Mekele road. Along this road, supplies are moving. And not lots of supplies are arriving in Tigray. So Tigray is under a siege. TDF is trying to break the siege. It's entering Afar, Amhara regions, wherever it can. It is trying to make incursions. Ethiopian government sees itself in a strong position. That is why it is not willing to start any talks with Tigray People Liberation Front. Secondly, we have seen that Ethiopian Prime Minister is visiting other countries. He is acquiring weapons. He flaunted his drone technology from Samra airport in Afar a few weeks ago. Then he signed some military cooperation agreements with Turkey a few days ago when he visited Turkey. And we have received reports about cargo flights between Turkey and Ethiopia for supplying weapons to Ethiopia from Turkey. So Ethiopian government, it seems, is piling up weapons. It is not going to start any talks with Tigray People Liberation Front. Does it mean that Ethiopian government is planning an offensive, a fresh offensive on Tigray? No. The experts who say that Eritrea and Ethiopia are going to launch second invasion of Tigray, I disagree with them. Ethiopian government, Eritrean governments will not launch another offensive on Tigray. They'll try to push TDF out of Afar, Amhara regions. They'll try to remain in control of Western Tigray, and they'll keep Tigray under siege. They're not planning a new offensive on Tigray, because if they started a new offensive, once again their forces will be trapped in Tigray. When they retreated from Tigray in June, Ethiopian National Defense Force suffered heavy losses during withdrawal. Withdrawal is never easy, especially if it's not negotiated. So we saw ENDF suffering losses during previous withdrawal in June. That is why I don't think ENDF, Amhara, Eritrean force is going to enter Tigray. No, they'll push TDF, they'll try to push TDF out of Amhara Afar regions, and they'll keep the siege. They'll tighten the siege. Coming days, very crucial. No possibility of any talks between Tigray People Liberation Front and Ethiopian government. Just a few hours from now, UN Security Council is due to meet about Tigray. Let's see what happens there at UN Security Council. All eyes on UN Security Council, which has remained divided in the past. Let's see, and let's hope that something positive comes from UN Security Council session due to be held after a few hours. Thank you for watching.